Fans are not having it. This is a failure in marketing, 100%. You guys are going to produce a Indiana Fever all access video package. One coming out a day, one every other day. And you're not going to have a special package for the reason for the season, for the reason why we're all here, to the reason why you went from 4,000 people in 23 to 17,000 average attendance in 2024. You're not going to give that person a dedicated video. Indiana Fever, everywhere you look, they just continue to drop the ball. And I got to give credit where credit is due. Fans are letting them know about it. They're voicing their displeasure. Stephanie White, Indiana Fever, getting absolutely.
The wait is finally over. The doors to the Indiana Fever practice facility have officially swung open. And the moment every basketball fan in the world has been holding their breath for has arrived. Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and the rest of the squad are back in the building. Training camp is here. It is go time. But beneath the smiles, the hugs, the media day photos, and the seemingly immaculate vibes being pushed by the team's PR department, there is a complex, multi-layered tactical and cultural war waiting to unfold on the hardwood. This is WNBA Pro, your exclusive, unfiltered home for the highest-level WNBA analytics on YouTube. Today, we are not just looking at the highlight clips of players walking into the gym. We are going to construct the entire puzzle. We are going to break down the hidden storylines, the major front office gambles, the toxic relationship with the fan base, and the massive tactical implications of the newest roster moves. We are going to analyze the secret weapon the Fever just unlocked, the incredible collective bargaining agreement risk they are taking, the psychological standoff between Caitlin Clark and head coach Stephanie White, and the shocking disrespect the front office has shown to the people who pay their bills. Grab your notebooks, lock in and pay attention because we are going deep into the X's and O's, the business of sports and the fragile ego of the Indiana Fever organization.
Some fans credit. I got to give you credit. You have not forgotten. You have not forgotten what it is the Indiana Fever did to you last year when they led everybody astray during the Caitlin Clark injury fiasco of 2025. You have not forgotten, and by the way, we haven't talked about this. I just thought about this right now, right here. Remember the Angel Reese fiasco where the Indiana Fever fans, the Caitlin Clark fans, were a bunch of racists? The Indiana Fever never did defend their fan base. They didn't. They did not come out and immediately try to shoot that down. Nothing. Instead, they gave some benign bullshit statement. And we're doing an investigation, blah, blah, blah. Never came back and apologized to fans for looking into I mean, they bought right in. They bought right into the narrative. Real quick, fast, and in a hurry. Understand who still runs this organization. Plain and simple. You got radicals running the organization. I'm just being real here. You got people ate up, thick with agenda, running this organization. And you got the Indiana Fever on social media still doubling down on Stephanie White being the savior of the franchise. The savior of the franchise wears 22. You dimwits don't know it. I mean, what? But people have not forgotten. They have not forgiven.
Let's start with the visual evidence from day one of camp. Seeing Caitlin Clark reunite with Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston is the collective sigh of relief that this passionate fan base desperately needed. 4 months, rumors were swirling regarding Mitchell's future and the team's internal chemistry following a highly turbulent offseason. Seeing them back on the floor together solidifies one undeniable mathematical fact. From a pure personnel and talent standpoint, the Indiana Fever possess the offensive firepower to compete with any dynasty in the league. Kelsey Mitchell is coming off a phenomenal stretch of basketball, and her ability to play off of Caitlin Clark's unprecedented gravitational pull creates the most lethal backcourt combination in the WNBA. When you have two guards who can pull up comfortably and accurately from 30 feet, the opposing defense is mathematically stretched past its breaking point. It forces opposing...
Indiana Fever post this on their social media. Quote, I take great pride in representing this franchise in a positive way. As training camp comes to a close, our sights are set on the regular season. We look at head coach Stephanie White's journey. Fudge me to tears. Mother fudge me. I'm trying to clean it up. Trying to clean it up a little bit for y'all. Oh, the rage bait. Oh. Woo-wee. Y'all did not miss on this post at all. Right here. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, God. All right, we're stopping it right there. I can't do any more. The screams you hear are the screams of the former Vanderbilt program she lit on fire. Venom. My boy Venom. Read the room, admin. I mean, seriously. Just keep doubling down with this bullshit. My boy CDS, you're a bunch of idiots. My boy Carlos Garcia just couldn't even. We're laughing at you and we're also nauseated all at the same time. Please have a professional doing video PR, as this is not how you present content. Oh, wow. They are really picking a head coach over their fans and stars. Lynn Dunn, mentored Sides and White. Shit, God, Christy Sides, I'm so sorry. I really am. Oh, the whole organization is a nepotism mess. We will see if White earns the title Star Killer this year. Wow.
Coaches to make impossible decisions in pick and roll coverage. You step up to stop Clark. Mitchell cuts back door. You hedge hard on Mitchell. Clark pulls from the logo. But as any basketball purist knows, raw talent does not win championships. Elite utilization of that talent does. And that brings us to the most fascinating under-the-radar addition to this roster. A player who was spotted instantly in the practice facility footage and someone who could completely alter the geometry of the Fever's second unit, Monique Billings.
People that they are marketing this team around. Raven Johnson, the draft pick. Kelsey Mitchell, she got an episode. And this latest episode, Stephanie White gets her own episode. Fans are not having it. This is a failure in marketing, 100%. You guys are going to produce an Indiana Fever all-access video package. One coming out a day, one every other day. And you're not going to have a special package for the season, for the reason why we're all here, to the reason why you went from 4,000 people in 23 to 17,000 average attendance in 2024. You're not going to give that person a dedicated video. Indiana Fever, everywhere you look, they just continue to drop the ball. And I got to give credit where credit is due. Fans are letting them know about it. They're voicing their displeasure. Stephanie White, Indiana Fever, getting absolutely.
Most casual fans and mainstream media analysts look at the Monique Billings signing as a simple depth move. A veteran body to eat up regular season minutes, provide some locker room leadership, and grab a few rebounds. But if you are a true student of the game and if you watched the tape from the Team USA basketball camp just a month ago, you know exactly why this is a tactical masterstroke. To deeply understand the Billings impact, we have to talk about the concept of vertical spacing versus horizontal spacing. Caitlin Clark is the ultimate historic master of horizontal spacing. By simply crossing half court with a live dribble, she pulls perimeter defenders horizontally away from the paint. Aaliyah Boston, on the other hand, provides elite post-gravity. She demands physical double teams on the block, bringing defenders down to the baseline. But what the Indiana Fever lacked so desperately last year was elite vertical spacing. They needed a rim-running explosive athlete who could slip a screen and catch lobs out of the pick and roll at the apex of the jump. Enter Monique Billings. During the Team USA camp, the pick-and-roll connection between Clark and Billings was instantaneous, natural, and devastating. Clark needs a big who rolls to the basket with ferocity and plays above the rim. Billings provides exactly that. If the coaching staff recognizes this, the Clark-Billings high pick-and-roll should become the absolute staple of the Fever's transitional offense. It provides Aaliyah Boston with a necessary breather without sacrificing interior pressure. It is a tactical match made in heaven, and seeing them reconnect on day one of camp is a massive green flag for the offensive ceiling of this team. However, for every step forward this front office takes, they seem to take two massive, unforced, baffling steps backwards. And this brings us to the most high-risk, questionable roster move of the entire offseason. It involves a player named Justine Pat. And to understand why this is a potential disaster, we need to dive into the intricate rules of the WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement. Here it says, this is courtesy of Robin Lumberg of Sports Illustrated. What Justine Piss's developmental deal says about Indiana Fever's roster plan. The Indiana Fever signed one of their WNBA draft picks to a developmental contract. The Indiana Fever made some noteworthy selections in a WNBA draft. The Fever took point guard Raven Johnson of South Carolina with the 10th pick in the first round. The Indiana Fever drafted Justine Pat, a 6 feet 4 inches elite shooter out of Vanderbilt. For a team that desperately needs size, length, and floor spacing at the power forward position, drafting a 6-4 stretch four was actually a brilliant piece of scouting. But instead of securing her on the standard 12-woman roster to protect their asset, the Fever front office just announced that Pat is being signed to a developmental contract. Here is the smart insight on why this is a terrifying gamble that could blow up in their faces. Under the new CBA, teams are now permitted to carry 2 developmental players in addition to their standard roster. These players can practice with the team, travel, and be activated for up to 12 games without counting against the extremely tight salary cap. On paper, to a casual observer, it sounds like a fantastic loophole to save money. But there is a massive glaring catch that nobody is talking about. Developmental players are essentially unprotected free agents. They are not locked into your franchise. If Justine Pat goes out in the preseason, steps onto the floor, and knocks down 3 or 4 triples, proving that she can be a legitimate 6 feet 4 inches floor spacer at the professional level. Literally any team in the WNBA can swoop in, offer her a standard contract, and take her. The New York Liberty, the Las Vegas Aces, the Connecticut Sun, championship contenders who understand the absolute premium value of shooting size can steal her right out from under Indiana's nose. Why is Indiana taking this massive unnecessary risk with a player whose skill set perfectly aligns with their biggest weakness? Because they have completely mismanaged their roster construction by hoarding undersized guards. The Fever currently have a ridiculous log jam in the backcourt. They drafted Raven Johnson, a 5'8" defensive specialist. Despite already having Tasha Harris, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hall, they prioritized redundancy at the guard position over securing a 6 feet 4 inches shooter on a guaranteed deal. In the modern WNBA, spacing is oxygen. You cannot run a highly efficient offense if your power forward cannot shoot the 3. If the opposing 4 can safely sag off their assignment and pack the paint, Aaliyah Boston is going to face suffocating triple teams all season long. Pat was the ultimate insurance policy for that exact scenario. Putting her on an unprotected developmental deal while keeping 6 guards is a fundamental misallocation of cap space. If a rival team poaches her in 2 weeks, the Fever front office will have nobody to blame but themselves. But the roster construction is only a symptom of a much larger, much more dangerous disease infecting this franchise. This brings us to the ultimate elephant in the room. The players are back. The media is capturing the smiles. But what happens when the cameras turn off, the doors lock, and the first practice whistle blows? Now, here at CESA we have spent the last week analyzing the alarming comments made by head coach Stephanie White. If you have been paying close attention to the specific language this coaching staff has been using, the picture is no longer just concerning. It is a tactical nightmare. The Indiana Fever are not simply tossing around the idea of moving Caitlin Clark off the ball. They are actively, deliberately building a roster constructed to position the greatest playmaker in women's basketball history as a small forward. Let me connect the dots for you because the breadcrumbs have been falling for over a year. Following the draft, Stephanie White took to the microphone and categorized her guard rotation with very specific, revealing terminology. She labeled Tasha Harris as a combo guard. She labeled Caitlin Clark as a player who can play on and off the ball. And crucially, she labeled rookie Raven Johnson as a true point guard. When a head coach publicly categorizes a defensive-minded rookie as the true point guard and relegates her generational MVP-caliber superstar to a versatile wing player, we are no longer guessing at the strategy. The strategy is set. The Fever are preparing to roll out a perimeter rotation where Johnson runs the 1, Mitchell or Harris runs the 2, and the 6-foot Caitlin Clark is pushed to the 3 spot. This brings us to a major basketball insight: the myth of the true point guard in modern heliocentric basketball. Stephanie White's desire for a true point guard to set the table is a basketball philosophy trapped in the year 2004. In the modern game, the traditional pass-first point guard who simply initiates the offense and gets out of the way is becoming entirely obsolete when you possess a heliocentric superstar. Look at Luka Doncic. Look at LeBron James. Look at Nikola Jokic. These are players who do not fit the traditional mold of a 5'10" point guard. Yet, they are the undisputed primary playmakers. Because when you have a player whose gravity, court vision, and scoring threat are that immense, putting the ball in the hands of a traditional point guard actually makes your offense worse. It takes the ball away from the most dangerous person on the floor. Caitlin Clark is the WNBA's ultimate heliocentric hub. Taking the ball out of her hands is the equivalent of buying a Formula One race car and forcing it to deliver groceries in a school zone. Yes, the car can physically do it. She is a career 34% three-point shooter. She can stand in the corner and spot up, but you are completely neutralizing the very asset that makes her a generational anomaly. And let's look at the domino effect this has on Aaliyah Boston. If Raven Johnson, an elite defender but a low-volume perimeter shooter, brings the ball up the floor, the defense sags off, they drop below the three-point line, they pack the paint, they clog the driving lanes. The entire reason the Clark-Boston pick-and-roll is so lethal is because Clark's shooting gravity pulls the opposing center out of the paint, giving Boston a wide-open runway to the rim. If Clark is standing in the corner as a decoy, the spacing completely evaporates. Stephanie White is trying to solve a perimeter defense problem, but in doing so, she is suffocating her franchise center in the paint. It is tactical malpractice. The statistics from last season are glaringly conclusive. When Caitlin Clark was the primary ball handler initiating the offense, the Indiana Fever boasted a plus 6.4 net rating. They played with pace, flow, and elite efficiency. When the ball was taken out of her hands, the offense stagnated into a league-average predictable mess. So, if the numbers say it's a bad idea, and the basketball geometry says it's a bad idea, why is the Indiana Fever front office so obsessed with this plan? This requires us to dive into the psychology of sports management. What we are witnessing in Indianapolis is a classic case of the system versus superstar complex. Coaches and general managers are inherently driven by ego. They want to be viewed as architects. Stephanie White respects the Dawn Staley school of basketball. Low scoring, highly disciplined, defensive dogfights. When a front office inherits a player like Caitlin Clark, a player whose talent supersedes any playbook, it creates an identity crisis for the coaching staff. If the Fever win a championship by letting Caitlin Clark shoot logo threes and throw full-court transition passes, the narrative will forever be Caitlin Clark won that ring. But if Stephanie White can force Clark into a structured defensive-minded system, if she can win games 72-65 by playing Raven Johnson at the point, then the narrative becomes Stephanie White's brilliant system won that ring. They are trying to prove that their culture and their system are bigger than the superstar. It is the exact same hubris that has broken apart dynasties in the past. And this arrogance, this absolute refusal to adapt to the reality of what they have bleeds directly into how this front office treats the people who fund their paychecks, the fans.